Raven, last week Vince Russo returned to TNA at your expense. I'm figuring you're waiting for him right now. What are you going to do to him when you find him?
I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett has somehow staged a #1 contenders match tonight, and I'm not included. I find that to be insulting and demeaning. What do you expect from Jeff Jarrett? I mean, this is a degenerate who will do anything to hold on to his glory. You know, I've been doing some thinking, and I've come to the conclusion that Jeff Jarrett is the David Hasselhoff of professional wrestling. I mean, think about it. Both of them have beat the odds. Neither one of them has any discernible talent or charisma, and yet somehow both have managed to be on not one, but 2 hit television programs. You know, Knight Rider and Baywatch for Hasselhoff, WCW and TNA for Jarrett. And then they both deluded themselves into thinking that the shows were hits because of them. Baywatch is a hit because guys will watch girls solve complex trigonometry problems as long as they're wearing bikinis. And TNA is a hit because of the path of carnage and destruction and the pile of bodies that I've left in my wake. I will achieve my destiny, and I will win my belt. Oh, and Vince Russo. Vince Russo, if you ever touch me again, I will rip your face off and use your cranium for a flower pot. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Raven, let's first touch on your history in what has been a most eventful career. Let's begin with ECW. No question, you were an integral part of Extreme Championship Wrestling at what I think has to be recognized as the most influential period in that company's history.
Well, I'll tell you what, Raven Sandman and Raven Dreamer were 2 of the greatest feuds in the history of wrestling. I would stack them up with Buzz Sawyer, Tommy Rich, Sergeant Slaughter, the Iron Sheik. I mean, the magnitude, the length and magnitude, the carnage, the ferocity, the bloodletting, I think it speaks for itself.
From there, you were on to WCW, where you were the leader of Raven's Flock.
Yeah, that was an interesting deal. They paid me hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit in the front row and drink beer with my buddies. It's good work if you can get it.
I guess you would probably have to classify it as a disagreement that you had with Eric Bischoff that led to your departure from WCW?
Disagreement, I'm not really sure that's the right word. I mean, you know, philosophically, we had some differences. I mean, but for the most part, we were on the same page. What happened was, he called a meeting, and in his meeting, he said, Raven, and singled me out. He said, Raven, if you're not happy with the company, there's the door. So I quit. I mean, what was I going to do? I was going to let him abuse me in front of other people? I mean, forget it. It's not my style. It's not my nature.
Let's take you back 1 week ago tonight. Your thoughts on the attack by Vince Russo?
You know, look, a 53-year-old man trying to live out his little fantasy life. You know, the guy went to wrestling school when he was in his 30s, and he washed out after the first couple weeks because he's a pussy. I mean, and so now he's trying to live vicariously through the sex locker room, you know, and look, the guy hit me with a baseball bat. If he wants to do that, fine. Everybody else wants to attack me? Come on, fine. I don't care who it is. I mean, there are so many people out to get me now because, let's face it, I'm not the nicest person in the back. I'm not the guy that they want to associate with. I'm a little different. I'm a little eccentric. You know, and some may say I'm paranoid. But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me.
You've talked about it being your destiny to be NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. The current title holder, Jeff Jarrett, he's promised you a title shot.
Yeah. Not the brightest move he's ever made. Jeff Jarrett could no more stop me than the coming of the dawn. Since the beginning of time, since that first Muddy Moments rebellion, man has sought to know the unimaginable, to shake hands with the intangible, to measure the abstract with concrete gauges, to fit the mind of the infinite within the imagination of the finite. The prize is within my grasp. All I have to do now is close my fist. Jeff Jarrett, welcome to Raven's Clockwork Orange. House of Fun. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Let's take you back. 1 week ago tonight, the confrontation involving Kid Cash and Trinity.